He held her hand, his fingers intertwined with hers. Their love story was simple, pure. They met at a local carnival, drawn together like moths to a flame.
I was instantly captivated by her infectious laughter and sparkling eyes.
I found solace in his gentle touch, and the way he made me feel like the only girl in the world.
He still remembered the day he first told her he loved her. They were sitting on a hilltop, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and purple.
As I spoke those 3 little words, her face lit up with a radiant glow that outshone even the most brilliant star.
I love everything about him, his kind heart, his unwavering support, and the way his eyes crinkle when he smiles.
He was her rock, her confidant, the one person she could always count on. Their love was a beacon of hope in a world that often felt cold and unforgiving. Theirs was a love story for the ages, a tale of 2 souls destined to find each other. They were inseparable, their love growing stronger with each passing day. He couldn't imagine his life without her, and she felt the same way about him. They were 2 halves of a whole, their love a testament to the power of connection. He had been planning this day for weeks. Today was the day he would ask her to marry him. He wanted everything to be perfect, a reflection of the immense love he held for her.
I chose a secluded spot in the park, our special place. It was where we had shared our first kiss, where we had spent countless hours lost in our own little world.
The air was alive with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, and the gentle breeze carried with it the promise of a beautiful day. He had packed a picnic basket with all her favorites, her favorite cheeses, fresh fruit, and a bottle of sparkling cider. He carefully laid out the blanket and arranged everything just so. His heart pounded in his chest, a mixture of excitement and nervousness. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the park, he saw her walking towards him.
Her hair flowed in the breeze, and her smile was brighter than the setting sun. In that moment, I knew I couldn't wait another second.
She said yes without a moment's hesitation. Tears welled up in her eyes as she embraced him, their happiness overflowing.
I slipped the ring on her finger, a symbol of our eternal love.
It was a simple yet elegant band, just like their love. They spent the rest of the day lost in their own world, their happiness echoing through the empty park. As the stars twinkled above them, they whispered their dreams for the future, each word a testament to the depth of their love.
We talked about our dream home, a cozy cottage surrounded by a lush garden. We imagined our future children, their laughter filling the air.
I promised to be the best husband and father I could be, and she vowed to love me forever and a day.
It was the happiest day of their lives, a day they would cherish forever. As the night drew to a close, they walked hand in hand back to her apartment. They stood outside her door for a moment, lost in a final embrace.
I kissed her goodnight, my heart overflowing with love for the woman who had stolen my heart. "I love you," I whispered, my voice husky with emotion.
I love you too, she replied, her eyes sparkling with happiness.
He watched her disappear inside, a sense of contentment washing over him. He knew he was the luckiest man alive. He couldn't wait to spend the rest of his life with the woman of his dreams. He knew their love would conquer all. The next day dawned bright and sunny, a reflection of the joy that filled their hearts. He had already picked out the perfect wedding venue, a charming little chapel nestled in the heart of the countryside.
I could already picture her walking down the aisle, her beauty radiating like the morning sun. I couldn't wait to call her, to tell her all about my plans for our special day.
He picked up the phone and dialed her number, his heart pounding with anticipation. But the phone just rang and rang. He tried again, a knot of worry forming in his stomach.
Maybe she's still asleep. I'll try again later.
He busied himself with errands, trying to ignore the nagging feeling of unease that had settled over him. He went to the market, picking out fresh flowers for her.
I can just imagine her delighted smile when I surprise her with these.
He bought her favorite chocolates, the ones with the caramel filling she loved so much. As he made his way back to her apartment, his heart felt heavy. He couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. He tried her number again, but it went straight to voicemail. He decided to go to her apartment, hoping to surprise her. As he approached her building, he noticed a crowd gathered outside. His heart skipped a beat. Something was wrong. He pushed his way through the crowd, his anxiety growing with each step. And then he saw it, an ambulance, its lights flashing silently in the afternoon sun. Paramedics were rushing in and out of the building, their faces etched with urgency. His blood ran cold.
stumbling back, mind reeling.
He caught sight of her neighbor, her face pale and drawn.
Rushing over, voice barely a whisper. "What happened? Is she okay?"
Looking at him, eyes filled with pity. There was an accident, a hit and run. His world shattered. He collapsed to his knees, the weight of her words crushing him. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think. It wasn't real. It couldn't be real. They were supposed to get married, have children, grow old together. He stumbled towards the ambulance, his legs feeling like lead. He had to see her, had to make sure she was okay. But deep down, he knew the truth. The paramedics were rushing, their faces grim.
Seeing her being wheeled towards the ambulance, body limp and still.
Her eyes were closed, her face as pale as the sheets they had wrapped her in.
Crying out her name, voice raw with pain.
But she didn't move. She didn't even open her eyes. He watched as the ambulance sped away, her lifeless body disappearing into the distance. He was left standing there on the sidewalk, his heart torn to shreds. He couldn't believe it. She was gone. His soulmate, his best friend, the love of his life, gone. The world seemed to spin around him, the sounds of the city fading into a dull roar. He was vaguely aware of people trying to comfort him, but their words were lost on him. He was trapped in a nightmare, a world without her. He stumbled home, his mind numb with grief. He couldn't bear to be in their apartment, surrounded by her things, her scent. Every corner held a memory, a reminder of the life they had planned together, a life that was now cruelly ripped away.
He collapsed onto the couch, his body racked with sobs. He cried until he had no tears left, until there was nothing left but an empty ache in his chest.
He clutched her pillow to his chest, inhaling her faint scent, clinging to the last vestiges of her presence. The days that followed were a blur of pain and disbelief. He moved through life like a ghost, haunted by her absence. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't find solace in anything. The world seemed to have lost its color, its vibrancy.
He went through the motions of her funeral, his heart breaking all over again as he watched her casket being lowered into the ground.
He stood there until everyone else had left, unable to tear himself away from her final resting place. He visited her grave every day, rain or shine. He would sit there for hours talking to her, sharing his hopes and fears, his dreams and regrets.
He told her how much he missed her, how lost he felt without her.
He imagined her listening, her laughter echoing in the wind, her touch a whisper against his skin. But it was all in his mind, a cruel trick of his broken heart. The silence was deafening, a constant reminder of her absence.
He wore her engagement ring on a chain around his neck, a constant reminder of the love they shared, a love that death couldn't diminish.
He carried her picture everywhere he went, her smiling face a source of both comfort and pain. He isolated himself from the world, pushing away anyone who tried to get close. He couldn't bear the thought of burdening others with his grief, with the overwhelming sadness that threatened to consume him. One day, as he sat by her grave, he noticed a small purple flower pushing its way up through the freshly turned earth. It was a type of wildflower that he had never seen before, its delicate petals a vibrant splash of color against the drab gray of the headstone.
He stared at it for a long moment, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest.
It was as if she was sending him a sign, a message of love and resilience. He gently touched the delicate petals, a single tear rolling down his cheek. He realized then that he couldn't spend the rest of his life drowning in sorrow.
He had to find a way to honor her memory, to live a life that would make her proud.
He knew she wouldn't want him to waste his life grieving. She would want him to find happiness again, to embrace the world with the same passion and joy that she had. He slowly began to rebuild his life, piece by piece. He started going out again, reconnecting with friends and family. He returned to the park where they had gotten engaged, finding solace in the memories of their love. He dedicated his life to helping others, volunteering at a local hospice, offering comfort and support to those who were facing loss and grief. He found a sense of purpose in helping others, in sharing his story, in reminding them that even in the darkest of times, love never truly dies.
He never forgot her, of course.
Her memory was etched into his very soul, a bittersweet ache that would always be a part of him. He carried her love with him always, a guiding light in his life.
He knew that even though she was gone, their love would live on, forever entwined with his own.
And so, he lived his life with a heavy heart, but an unyielding spirit, carrying the torch of their love with him always. He knew that one day, they would be reunited, their love story continuing in a place where there was no pain, no sorrow, only eternal bliss.